First things first on a Monday morning, back here with Mike Vick. Mike, let's talk some Chiefs and Ravens. It was a tough night for our guy Nick Wright. It was a great night for this guy Lamar Jackson. Boy, did he put on a show. He put on a show through the air. He put on a show on the ground. Ravens were down 11 to start the fourth quarter until Lamar Jackson basically stepped up and said, I got this, just taking over, delivering. How about this? The untouched, taking himself, half cartwheel flip into the end zone for the game winner. Just one of a number of handful of plays from Lamar Jackson. Ravens beat the Chiefs. Lamar's Ravens beat the Chiefs for the first time ever. So much for a perfect season. Here is your winning quarterback after the game.
What does it feel to finally beat the team that you used to call your kryptonite?
Yeah, I called him that one time, Mr. Jameson. One time. Yeah, man. Yeah, it feel good, you know. It feel good to get that monkey off our back. It just feel good, you know. Got to move on to Detroit now. You know, we ain't win the Super Bowl yet. It's just one game. We just got to keep staying focused.
Called him his one-time kryptonite. One time. Hey, Sunday night was Lamar's 11th career 100-yard rushing game. Yeah. Tying you, Mike Vick, for the most ever by a quarterback. Yeah. It's a nice list right there. He was sensational last night. Mike, what does last night's comeback say about Lamar?
Says a lot in terms of his resiliency, and not just him, but the team. But what I was most impressed about was Lamar throwing 2 picks early and being able to bounce back from it. We never really seen him in that type of situation where it was of detriment, where he did some things that was uncharacteristic of him and then had to fight his way back through it, make some plays and overcome. He did that. It happened throughout the course of the game, and that's the way that it was supposed to happen. But for Lamar, you know, he said in the press conference, it's just one small step. You know, it's not the Super Bowl. It's not a playoff game that they won. It certainly is going to help the team character-wise get ready for what's to come. I expect them to make it to the postseason, but it was just a good outing for Lamar. It was a good outing for the Ravens offensively and defensively to continue to hang in there and not waver and not lose sight of what the most important thing was, and that was winning the game, having more points than the Chiefs. So shout out to Lamar, shout out to the Baltimore Ravens. You know, they did their thing, but it's just one small step in the right direction in terms of what they're trying to accomplish.
Well, I think, Mike, you know they say this about all great players. You have to have a short memory, right? And he showed that. He had the 2 interceptions. I think they came within his first 3 possessions, and he was able to bounce back, forget about it, move on, and bounce back from it. I'm going to say he has another quality, though. I'm going to throw this phrase out. Maybe it'll catch on. We'll see. I think Lamar Jackson has what I'm going to call selective obliviousness. Selective obliviousness. And that means he is oblivious to all of the outside noise. It's selective because he knows what's going on in his locker room. He's paying attention and knowing what his teammates and his coaches and his organization is saying. But anything else out there, he's oblivious to it. Oh, he can't win a playoff game. It's like he doesn't even hear it. He can't be a quarterback in the NFL. He's running too much. He can't do this. Or like, he is oblivious to all of it, even the kryptonite. I think, look, when he said that statement, he was not saying, we just can't beat this team. They're too good. You know, we're powerless against them. He was kind of just finishing the reporter's statement. You know, and I know it looked bad, and it's something that we do in the media.
That's
we
right.
jump on it, you know. But people were taking that too far, and he was oblivious to it. So that is a great sign or a great quality, Nick, that he has. And quickly, let me say this. He also, John Harbaugh going to him at the end of the game and saying, you want to go for it. I love that Harbaugh did that. It shows that he has trust in Lamar. And it's amazing to me that Matt LaFleur did not do that with Aaron Rodgers at the end of the NFC title game last year. And he should have. And I hope Rodgers would have said, let's go for it. But those are 2 interesting, scenarios to put together.
Scenarios.
Yeah. So by the way, on that decision, that is a perfect example of something I've talked about a lot, Wilds has talked about a lot, which is do what your opponent is hoping you don't.
Yep.
Every Chiefs fan and player across the stadium and across the world was saying, punt the ball, please punt the ball, punt the ball. The Chiefs were praying they would punt the ball, and it does show how kind of the intelligent football discussion has evolved, that this wasn't controversial. I know Al and Chris seemed a little caught off guard by it, but this was undoubtedly, unquestionably the right play, given that Mahomes is the guy on the other side of the field. But about Lamar, Wilds, obviously I wanted the Chiefs to win. I bet on the Chiefs to win. I'm sad the Chiefs didn't win. But if someone was going to beat him like that, I'm glad it was Lamar. Because the last night was a great example of why he's such a unique player. Whether you, like, this is going to sound weird, but look at the numbers. Add up Mahomes' passing and rushing yards, touchdowns, and Lamar's passing and rushing yards, touchdowns. The exact same. They both finished with the exact same number of total yards, the exact same number of touchdowns. They just do it so differently. And I think you can make the argument Lamar's the only quarterback in the league that would have won that game in that circumstance. Because the Ravens don't have great dynamic down the field weapons. They don't have great running backs anymore. And the Chiefs did score 35 points. But because Lamar is so unique, there's only one comp in NFL history, and he's on the panel with us right now, it is so incredibly difficult to deal with him. Now, is he as good of a passer as Derek Carr? Probably not. Is he a better quarterback than Derek Carr? No question about it, because of what he does for you in all the aspects of the game. And I know it makes you nervous, Wilds, and last night he was not sliding. He was sometimes actually leading into contact. But that's who he is.
I know.
And he's...
I'd be like the nervous guy.
I know it makes you nervous, but that's who he is. And by one last point quickly, this was a big win for Baltimore, because they have a very soft schedule coming up. He mentioned Detroit. They have Detroit, Denver, Indy, Cincy, Minnesota, 5 of their next 6 for 5 of their next 6. Getting to 1-1 instead of 0-2 and kind of evening the ship a bit is a massive spot for them, given what they have coming up. And I am happy for Lamar, even though I'm incredibly sad this morning.
Okay, so I continue to be incredibly nervous, Mike, and Nick alluded to it, so I'm like the nervous grandma on the panel that's like constantly telling you to like wear your helmet while you're like scootering down the street. Like, I guess this is who I am, and I got to be true to myself. Lamar had 3 plays yesterday where I was like, please don't do that. Your grandma doesn't want, Grandma Wilds doesn't want you to do that, Lamar. The first one was he lowered his shoulder and he was like looking for contact to get an extra yard. The second one was the stiff arm, where I actually think he lost a yard on that one. And the third one, and you know, this is really in Grandma's wheelhouse, the flip, which was a terrible flip, by the way, the flip into the end zone. So do you think, and I'll ask you this again, I will continue, it's just bad, I mean, it's just a bad idea.
Nah.
Do you think it's too much for me to say, hey, stop flipping into the end zone? Mac Jones helped push a pile, and like publicly today, the Patriots like, don't do that again. I know Lamar was like, he's celebrating, he's doing terrible flips. I think it's a terrible idea. I think he would listen. He's not listening to me. Would he listen to you? Like, hey, do you want him to play a little bit more conservatively when it comes to dropping his shoulders, stiff arming guys, and doing flips into the end zone?
And have cartwheels.
Yeah, it's funny. I said the same thing when he did it. Like, how stupid was that to flip into the end zone? But then I instantly thought about when I was 24 years old and how I thought I was invincible as well. So it was more about Lamar having fun. But 3 years from now, he won't be doing that. In terms of contact, Lamar is taking a lot of contact, but that's the design of their offense. A lot of quarterback traps, a lot of quarterback zone reads where he's going to be put in harm's way because he's running right into the teeth of the defense. So I feel you, Wiles, on this. You know, this could be something that could, you know, we got to watch down the road.
Let me ask you real quick.
You got to pay attention
Mike,
to it.
because you have a relation. You know Lamar. You have a relationship with him. Forget the flip part. Set that aside. Would you tell him if he called you, man, it's not worth the extra yards, you got to go down? Or is that something you can't even tell him?
Right now, it's probably something you can't even tell him. Like, mentally, he's going to fight for every yard that he can get. until something crazy happens. And it's totally understandable on my end. But in me coaching him and just looking at it from afar, is preserve your body. That's longevity in the National Football League. So it's something that he got to understand, and he got to take grasp of that, because, you know, you never know when things are going to, you know, not go your way in terms of the injury report, for sure.
Right.
Hey, Wilds, I'm with you. Stresses me out. You know, one day it could be a degenerative hip. You just don't know anymore. You really worry. Chronic. Hey, Nick's Miserable Monday continues. We're back talking Tom Brady. It was Brady's 5 touchdowns, the best performance from NFL Sunday. I'm enjoying the current show with you.